Aerial coverage from Talladega provided by Goodyear. From pit lane to victory lane, every NASCAR driver counts on Goodyear tires. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Well, we know that Jeff Gordon finished second in this one, Doc.
What a wild one here, Jeff Gordon. They show us that you finished second. What did you see in that final lap?
I didn't see anything but Casey Kane's rear bumper. That was the craziest finish I've ever experienced here at Talladega. And for a change, I finally come out on the good side of it. But, you know, I had my teammate in front of me, which was perfect. I had the 18 behind me, one of the best pushers out there. And we took the green and we were pushing. But we weren't going anywhere. I mean, our lane just would not move. The middle, the outside, everybody just kept passing us. I was like, there's nothing more I could do. I was running wide open, just hitting the guy in front of me, getting hit from behind, you know, there was times I was just trying not to wreck Casey, you know, but yet we were being very aggressive, and we come to the tribal to take the white. I really have no idea how we all made it to the white flag, because it was 3-4 wide, cars moving everywhere. But basically I went into turn 3, I was right on Casey, I saw smoke, and they checked up, I hit him, I got hit by the 18, and somehow that turned me down on the apron. And I just put it back to the floor, and I drove by every car, and I come out of there second behind the 17 car. And, you know, I mean, that's definitely what we need to do. That's like a win. And sure, I'm glad we survived it. We'll see what we can do with it from here on out.
Jeff Gordon, second week in a row, he finishes second, and now moving up in the points, guys.
Unfortunately for Jeff, he moved up in positions, but he didn't gain many points on Brad Keselowski unofficially, because they're still reviewing the finishing order and where Brad falls in line. Unofficially, he's shown at 7th at the moment. Brad did add a little bit of gap to Jimmy Johnson by more or less getting through that last corner wreck, while Jimmy got really torn up, his Chevrolet. So again, all this unofficial as NASCAR continues to review the finishing order. Show you how some of these top drivers in the championship fared in that last turn. Here's Denny Hamlin.
I see Denny back there saw it all happening, but he get on the brakes too hard and trying to turn the car, and then it just spins out. And
still might have been the best move. All that stuff going on there might have been the safest place to be.
Unofficially, the 11 finished in 11th position. Pending the scoring review, you see he was able to fire it up and keep going. And with Denny Hamlin we'll catch up with Jamie Little.
And Denny Hamlin talking to the media right now. Grass all over you, Denny. What a day for you. First off, I thought you waited maybe a little bit too long to go forward, but looking back, are you happy with your plan today?
I mean, it sucks. You know, I'm sure all my fans are frustrated, but I mean, it's what you have to do. I mean, you kind of give up the chance at a win riding in the back all day, but you got to miss the wreck, and that's what I had to do at the end, was just, basically, as all those guys were wrecking, just, go through them, slow down, let them all crash, and then drive around them and get to the start-finish line. So, you got to maintain the pace, and that's what that's what everyone did. And so, it sucks that it's not a top 10 finish, but it's better than my average here.
Where you were and what you saw happen ahead of you, how was your heart rate at that moment when you've got to make a split decision, or you could be part of it?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to go forward by driving into the wreck. And so I knew my objective, as soon as I started to see smoke and a car going sideways, is to back off from the pack, because everyone's always trying to gas up, get to the start-finish line, but you've got to maintain, you got to keep rolling, you got to keep going. And so for me, I just backed off and then let all the cars wash down to the bottom and then went around them.
All right, Denny Hamlin brings it home 11th, unofficially still 3rd in points, Vince.
Kyle Busch brought it home 3rd, had one of the best cars, overcame a speeding penalty early in the race, and still in there fighting for it at the finish. And another crazy Talladega finish. Good run.
Yeah, it's about how they always come down to, but great race for us and our team. The guys did a great job on this M&M's Camry and gave me a good piece. It was really fast when we were out there in the draft, pushing some guys and making the outside lane actually move forward a few times. So it was really good. Just there at the end, the last lap, man, it's just anything. Everybody goes for broke. So we were on the bottom there behind the 24, who was behind the 5, who was behind the 15. And I was pushing my foot. I was quarter throttle, and we weren't going anywhere running in the back of those guys. And then everybody's going by us on the outside. And then we got into turn 3 and seen the 14 car turn sideways, and just everything ensued after that. So I just cranked it left, went to the apron, and tried to get through there as best I could, not get hit by anybody else. Fortunately, we made it and come home third, so not too bad.
You were due for a good break. Well done.
Yeah, thanks.
Kyle Busch, he finishes third today.
All right, Vince, thanks. So as Matt Kenseth celebrates, all we know for sure so far are the top 6 finishers. Kenseth Gordon, Kyle Busch, David Reagan, Regan Smith, and Greg Biffle. Everybody else, the scoring is being reviewed by NASCAR after a 20-car pileup in turns 3 and 4, coming to the checkered flag that started with Tony Stewart up about 3rd place.
You can see right here, Regan Smith working his way through there. Looked like Martin Truex might get through there with a pretty good points day, but right here at the end, Bobby Labonte's going to catch him.
And look at the condition of David Reagan's 34 car. It's beaten up.
Yeah, and he brought that car home 4th.
Let's go to get him a top 5 finish. Grinding crash.
Proximity's everything.
Yes, it is. So many involved in the mad scramble to the finish at Talladega today. Jimmy Johnson, one of those whose cars got all torn up, and Vince Welch caught up to him.
Well, Jimmy, certainly not the way we wanted to see this one end. And what would you see? What happened?
Just hard racing at the end. We knew it was going to happen. We did a very good job of managing things all day long, and it was just getting real tight. I think we were probably 4 wide going into 3, and I could see some tire smoke off the guys in front of me, and then everybody just kind of merged together, and we were all in a big wad at that point. And fortunately, my car could still drive back to the finish, and I passed a couple guys that were sitting there on the bottom trying to get going themselves. So I guess I saw 17th. I don't know. We'll take it, I guess. We don't have a choice now.
Thanks, Jimmy.
And Clint Boyer has been checked and released. First off, Clint, are you okay? That was a big one.
Yeah, it was just too bad. We had a good car and was patient all day long, got in position, the caution came out, and I mean, that's just Talladega. That's why we all come out and watch. I wish we didn't need to shorten this race up, because it's just it's all waiting to see what happens right there at the end anyway. They had a good run on us on the outside. Kevin and I got broke apart. He couldn't stay with me, and like I said, we were in position to win. We just didn't win.
What caused the whole thing, Clint? You've obviously been in that position, but you end up in victory lane the last 2 years.
Right, the 14, he hung a pretty hard left on Michael there, and it turned him and kind of wrecked everybody, but he did what he had to do.
Glad Clint Boyer's okay.
Casey Kane running up in that front pack when it all broke loose. Is there anything you can do at that point, or are you just along for the ride?
You're kind of along for the ride once it starts, but I just about made it by, and somebody got me, I think, in the right rear corner and turned me back to the right, and I kind of sucked me up into it, and then I just felt like I could downshift and try to steer as long as I could. We ended up making it back to the line, and a few cars passed us, so we might be a little better than 13th, but it was just the way it goes. It was very close to getting through there and running second, I would say, right with Jeff, because Jeff was pushing me hard, and it just took me to the right.
When you're in that situation, you're getting down to the final laps at Talladega. Can you feel it coming?
Oh, you can feel it coming. You can see it coming. It's just, is it going to hit you or not? And it just hit us. We were just about snuck through there. Thanks to HendrickCars.com, Chevrolet, Farmers Insurance, Quaker State, everybody. We just about made it.
A lot of damage to his race car, but good to see Casey Kane doing fine.
All right, Vince, and Matt Kenseth continues to celebrate a big win, his 2nd of the season. And Matt Kenseth, our Goodyear Superior performer today, he was almost wrecked down in turn 1 early in the race when a little drafting went wrong. Made a spectacular save, and now he's celebrating.
Yeah, one thing I saw, this car wasn't very good, wasn't very stable handling-wise, but it was fast all day. Matt did a super job to keep it rolling and get the win.
And so with the big wild card in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup in the books now, we look ahead to the final races of the 2012 season, and it's on next week to Charlotte Motor Speedway for a Saturday night race under the lights. And then you see how we finish up: Kansas, Martinsville, Texas, Phoenix, and Homestead, Miami. Based on what you saw today, big thought coming out of Talladega is?
Well, it's certainly the points got separated some, but as you can see there, we've got some really good racetracks coming up for some excellent racing. And as we say, anything can happen anywhere. We talked about the the probability of things happening here, yeah, they do happen, and we expect that. But going to Charlotte and Kansas and Martinsville, a short track, this points deal could get shaken up a lot.
Yeah, we expected to see this kind of stuff happening here at Talladega. It took a long time for it to unfold, but it did it on the last lap, and boy, it was big when it did. Matt Kenseth lucky to get out of that one.
So Matt Kenseth celebrating at Talladega after scoring the win at the end of a wild day of racing. Greg Biffle wound up somewhere in the middle of that toward the end of it, we think in 6th place, Doc.
Well, Greg Biffle's been racing a long time, but Greg, you just told me a moment ago you've never seen anything like that. How would you describe what you saw in that final lap?
I don't know if I can. My voice is gone from screaming. I've been racing a long time. I've never in my life seen something like that. It was literally like the video game. I mean, cars upside down, going everywhere. I don't know how I got slowed down and turned to the bottom and came through that thing. I would have, the in-car camera, if I would have had an in-car camera, $1 million shot. What I saw out the windshield of my car, it was unbelievable.
Greg Biffle, through all that, though, comes home with a damaged race car, but a top 5 finish.
Well, Casey Mears has been checked and released, running up front all day. Casey, what happened there?
I don't know exactly what happened. I was pushing the 55 really hard, and I couldn't see much past him, so I was just giving him a big run. And then I don't know exactly what happened up front, but I think the 14 came down to block the lane, you know, to get the run to the end. And I was pushing the 55 so hard, there was no way to check up. I felt the 55 start to get on the brakes, and I started getting on the brakes, but by then we'd already all started a big pile up. So it's unfortunate. I'm real proud of everybody, you know, on the Geico Ford. We had a fast car all day. We got to run up front all day. And it seems like at these races it ends like this or you end up pretty good, you know. So it's unfortunate. It was scary. Now that I see the crash, I'm glad Tony's okay and everybody's walked out okay.
Good day till the end for Casey Mears.
Heading into this day, we expected some separation to happen in this race. It did in terms of the points. Who do you think now is in an even bigger hole?
I'd take a look at Jeff Gordon. I really thought Jeff would maybe pick some more spots up.
Even though he finished
second and he still hung there, you know, over 40 points behind. So, I mean, this poor guy is trying like crazy. He's having good runs, but can't seem to make any gains on the points. He's trying hard, but the day was one crazy day, and he really escaped a big one. There's no doubt about that. Finished second, even though he didn't gain the points.
Well, another week goes by, and I think the 48 and 11 separate themselves much further from the field as far as someone else gaining on them. So I think at 48 and 11, I think that's your chase race.
Yeah, except, you know, those guys have gained on second and third. So, hey, I'm not ready to give it to anybody yet, but we had such a good race going on. I just wish we could figure out a way to finish these things, you know, and let the guys race for it. I hate to see that much stuff torn up on the last lap.
Good race cars just destroyed.
We hate to see it happen actually live on the track, but let's take a look at it as it happened again. And I want to point out the 2-car of Brad Keselowski in the back behind the 18 of Kyle Busch.
Yeah, he
escapes.
He does. He keeps on the bottom of the racetrack, and he gets through this melee of cars just flipping and sliding all over the place. And, you know, you sit here trying to think, okay, who caused all this? Tony Stewart took the blame. Michael Waltrip had a big run. I will tell you, in my experience here at Talladega, that is just racing. I mean, it's the last lap. Everybody's going for it. Michael's got a big run. Tony's got a good run. Matt Kenseth is up on the top side. This is just classic Talladega wrecking.
But if you know that that's going to happen if you block for position, why do you do it?
Tony Stewart's one of the very best out there, and he didn't know. He had no idea this wreck was going to happen.
Yeah, he thought he could catch Waltrip as he was coming and utilize that opportunity to push him forward to win the race. Michael and Casey just had such a heck of a run.
And you're traveling. You're covering a football field a second, so a split-second decision, cars can close very quickly. Yeah.
Keep in mind, we are back next weekend, as Rusty said, with some normalcy, back to a track where we can perhaps have a little bit more of a proper view on what you're expecting. That one. It's the Bank of America 500 at Charlotte, 7 o'clock Eastern next Saturday. Congrats once again to Matt Kenseth. We'll have more from Talladega on SportsCenter up next. Thanks for joining us.
We all want a piece of that genie in a bottle. That's what you need at Talladega.
They are going so fast at this racetrack. Oh, trouble. Yep. There we go. Carl Edwards.
Everybody wants to win, but what you really got to do is survive.
Plenty of high-speed tension. Oh, trouble. Kurt Busch. Oh, there's contact. Stewart into the middle of the pack and over. Kenseth is going to get to the finish line first.